Hello, everyone. That should be us live. Apologies for the delay. I am a, well, I am a going live virgin. This is all new to me. So cameras weren't set up, connecting the wrong cameras. Hopefully you can hear me and you can see me. Hopefully. If you can, give me a thumbs up. Let me know that you can hear me and you can see me, and then we'll get right into it. Perfect. Thank you, David. Okay, good. So, Cockapoo Reactivity Q&A. You will be able to just, in that live chat, just fire your questions in, and I'll just sort of run through them one by one. So don't be shy. Any questions that you have, there is no such thing as a stupid question. So just questions, fire them in, and we will run through them. But first, a little bit about me. So I am a dog trainer, as you probably know. That's why you're here. But I wasn't always a dog trainer. And to begin with, I was just someone who bought a cockapoo, who had no idea what they were doing. And I got everything wrong and really learned the hard way. So I got Bonnie, super cute. Again, if you're familiar with me, you've probably seen her before. Super cute, gorgeous dog, cute little puppy. And I was like, okay, went onto YouTube, and I was okay, I need to get really high value treats. I need to get all the right harnesses. I need to get the retractable leads. I need to let her socialize and meet tons of dogs and people. I did everything that all the videos were telling me, and it didn't work. And not only did it not work, I vividly remember a walk we had. I'm quite lucky to have a forest near me. And we went for a walk at the forest, and Bonnie was pulling towards every dog and person she could see. She was almost like choking herself on the harness to get to everyone. She wouldn't take any treats off me. She wouldn't listen to anything that I said. And I remember leading that walk and being like, I'm not happy. She's not happy. She's frustrated. This is not what I signed up for. I thought life would feel different with my dog, right? So I went back online and I go, okay, all that didn't work. High value treats, positive reinforcement, that didn't work. So if that didn't work, the opposite must. I must have been lied to. So started looking at different trainers, different techniques. And everyone was then saying, okay, positive reinforcement is all nonsense. Your dog has to respect you. Your dog has to obey everything that you say. And you have to make your dog do things. And I was like, well, I don't know about that. But again, the previous thing didn't work too well. So we'll give it a go. And this is when I started really experimenting with different tools and equipment and things like that. And long story short, it worked. But Bonnie wasn't the same happy-go-lucky dog that she was in the beginning. So she would listen to me. She wouldn't pull in the lead. She would do things I asked, but she wasn't happy about it. I could see that she wasn't happy about it. And that left me feeling just a little bit empty, because what is the point in getting a dog if they're not happy and you can't give them the best life possible? Like, what are we doing? Why do that? So I was like, well, I'm not too comfortable with that either. And through hundreds, if not thousands of hours and learning and mistakes, I found a better way. I was like, there's a better way to do this. There's an in-between where Bonnie can do things with heart and soul and be happy to engage with me and not do the things that I don't want her to do, but also have that reliability that she does it when I ask her to and when I need her to. And that way, it can be reliable, it can be safe, and most importantly, which was my main goal from the beginning, I can give her the best life possible. And isn't that what it's all about? We get dogs to give them the best life possible. It's all I ever wanted. I've worked that out. So now what I do is I spend every moment that I have working trying to help people skip all the hours and all mistakes that I went through. Because if we're lucky, our dogs and our cockapoos are with us for 12 summers, and that's it. So I wasted some of that time doing the wrong things. I want to minimize how much time everyone else wastes with their dog. And I want to give everyone their best life possible. That's why I'm here. So really looking forward to answering all your questions. So I have your chat up here. So we run through. So again, any questions that you have, fire them in that chat there. Please don't be shy. I have things I'm going to run through anyways, things to keep in mind things that I think are going to be really beneficial for you and your cockapoo and your reactive cockapoo. So, where I see people go wrong, really, really go wrong, is they train in the moment and not for the moment. So they're walking past another dog, and their cockapoo blows up, barking, lunging, growling. We go, oh, like, what should we do? How do we fix this? And the answer is you don't fix it in that moment. There is nothing you can do where it's too late in that moment. And that's where a training plan comes in place. We ideally don't want to be making those big mistakes where we set us and our dog back. We have to prepare. We have to have a plan. The exact same way, if I was going to run a marathon in 6 months, I wouldn't train to run that marathon by running a marathon. I couldn't do it. I'm not the fittest person anyways, but I would set out this evening for a run and I would get myself injured. And even if I was to do it, I would be in so much pain, it would be so difficult that I would just give up. And I go, oh, forget, I'm not doing this. So we make incremental steps towards that goal and we follow the plan accordingly. Super, super important. Okay, David, sometimes my dog just doesn't care what I have and doesn't listen. What am I doing wrong? So this is where we have to have a think about building motivation. Our dogs, it's really important to understand this, everything that your dog does is to better their own situation. They're just looking to try and find their advantage. That's how they evolved from wolves on the edge of human settlements. It's like the really nice cushy life that they have now. Always trying to better their own situation. Really important we understand that. So it's important that we leverage our dog's attention in our favor. How do we do this? It's by building motivation. And I do this in 2 key ways. I do this with play and I do this with food. Easiest one is with food. So we'll have a chat about this. Most people, just the food is something that's set down for their dog and that's it. And they do nothing with the food. And what we do then is we go outside and we go, okay, we need high value treats. We need duck liver, we need cheese, we need ribeye steaks. And we give these to our dog. And you've probably found this, and I find this too, it works for a short moment in time. The reason it works for a short moment in time is dogs love novelty, new experiences. But as we know, novelty doesn't stay novel for long. So that new car or new clothes that you've bought is really exciting in the moment. And then you have it, and then it starts to become ordinary. And we go, it's okay, but what's next? How about this? That looks good. When I have that, I'll be happy, right? And we always want to look to upgrade. So instead of doing that and putting our dogs on what's called a hedonic treadmill, where we just keep upping the ante in terms of rewards, is we want to take our dog back to baseline and we want to make the food slightly harder to obtain. So for dogs, same as humans, how we make something appealing and valuable is by making it hard to obtain. So for us, why are Rolexes and Lamborghinis attractive to us? Because not everyone has them. If everyone had them, then they wouldn't be. Same thing for our dogs. And you probably noticed with your dog and your cockapoo that, we might not want them to, have a toy, right? And the toys are sitting out and the dog's not fussed. Then all of a sudden, we're putting the washing away and we drop a sock. And our cockapoo grabs it and runs off. And we go, no, and we chase them and it's just this whole big thing because they're not supposed to have it. So it's exciting. So with our food, what we want to do is we want to give our cockapoo multiple opportunities to eat throughout the day. And to begin with, I'm not going to ask cockapoo to do anything. Not sit, not paw, not roll over, nothing. Just food goes down. And I might give my dog 4 windows to do that throughout the day. So 9, 12, 3, and 6. Doesn't have to be that, just rough guides. And I set the bowl down. And if my cockapoo goes over, sniffs the food and goes, no, I'm all right, and goes away, I go, no problem, that's fine. And I lift the bowl, and then I set the bowl back down at the next feeding window. And what this teaches my dog is that when that food's available, you have to eat it. Once I have then a day completed, so 4 meals in a row, where my cockapoo will eat the food, I make it 1% harder to obtain. So that might be instead of a bowl, it's out of a slow feeder. That might be instead of a slow feeder then, it's from my hand. That might be then from my hand to my hand in the garden. That might be from my hand in the garden to my hand out the front door, from my hand to the front door to my hand at the local park. And you see, we just slowly build. So when we build, it's important to understand this. Motivation is built in dogs, same as in humans. We build motivation slowly over time so that eventually we can be out anywhere and we can give our markers, we'll chat about that in a second, that elicit response from our dog to say, oh, there's a reward here. And that reward of their essential food, normal born breakfast and dinner that your cockapoo probably turns their nose up at now, they will go crazy for it. I've done it time in and time out with a variety of different clients. It just takes a little bit of time to build. And it's a slow process in the beginning. Everyone wants to skip this. Everyone wants to skip this. They want to get into training. They're like, right, enough of all this. Let's do the work. But if I'm going to boil pasta, I'm going to spend 80% of the time boiling the water before I put the pasta in. If I put pasta in to a cold pan, what's going to happen? Doesn't matter how long I leave it there. It's never going to cook. That's a pasta analogy. A tree analogy. If I have to chop down a tree and I have 4 hours to do it, I'm going to spend 3 hours sharpening my axe. Same thing. Your motivation is the biggest tool you have with your dog. So that's how you build it. Hopefully, I believe that was David. That was your question. Hopefully that answered it and give you a little plan moving forward. Question. How did you get Bonnie back then? Mine is the same. He's great with recall until he sees another dog or squirrel, etc. Then I've lost him. Yep. Super common. So we can sort of segue from my last point. So we build motivation. So it starts from our value in the world is worth, say, £5. We'll give like a monetary value, £5. We go through this food motivation process and we're really sensible with intermittent reinforcement schedules and everything like that. And we bump that up over time to we're worth £50 to our dog. Wow, huge to what we were before. However, there will be things in the environment, remember what I said previously about novelty, that are always more interesting to our dog. No matter what you have, ribeye, steaks, cut up, doesn't matter. When that squirrel darts out across the road, your dog will be after it because it's new and it's exciting. And they'll tap into prey drive and they'll go. Of course they will. So what do? We have 2 different options. A, we could manage our dog. We could manage our cockapoo. So we never let our cockapoo off the lead, or we always keep them on a long line or on a retractable lead. So this doesn't happen and we can stop them. It's really easy. However, con is our dog never gets to be off the lead. And personally, that is not a life I want for my dog. The best part of my day and my dog's day is seeing her run free. I'm very lucky to have loads of woodland areas around me. Just seeing her just dart in and after squirrels, just rolling some poo, just have a good time, be a dog. So how do we get them back then? And this is where an element, like I alluded to in the beginning, of compulsion comes in. Where not only is it a really good idea for you to come back to me, but you have to. And there's rules in place and there's consequences if you don't. And the only tool and equipment that enables us to do that with our dogs is an e-collar. And I know for some people that will have like a reflex response. And I was the same. I was like, I would never do that to my dog. Never. Why would you ever do that to your dog? Until I realized that it was the only thing that enabled my dog to have a happy, free, off-lead life. And I've done it with countless dogs since. And all of them have had a better life because of it. So we make it a really good idea to come back to us, but also we lure over that you have to, that is a non-negotiable, because sometimes there are going to be things that you want more. And I am not prepared to put my dog's life at risk or any of my clients' dog's life at risk. So you have 2 different options. You can manage your dog and forever keep them on a lead, or you can teach them that it's a good idea to come back, but also you have to. Hopefully that answered your question. Now, Louise, my dog is fine at the house, barks a lot in the house, mainly at the TV for no reason. There doesn't have to be animals on screen. So what has likely happened originally, Louise, is there was some reason why your dog barked at the screen. It might be because something came up, your dog got a little bit defensive, and they barked. It might be your dog was really bored and something came up and they barked. But what's likely happened is when your dog's barked, they've got a big adrenaline response, and they've had probably a pretty good time doing it. And especially if that's not something your dog does a lot, they've probably had a real lot of fun doing it, and they thought, oh, that was interesting. Really important that we understand, if our dog doesn't get something out of a behavior, they will not repeat it. The only reason our dog repeats a behavior is because they think it works. That is it. The only reason ever. So your dog is getting something out of that. So what you need to do is A, make sure that you're giving your dog other outlets for that behavior. So your dog clearly likes to bark. It might be a little bit defensive, they like to bark. It might be sort of proactively, maybe like an animal's come up and it's a little bit of prey that has made them bark. They like that. They got something out of it. So before I want to try and stop that, because if I just try and stop that, what's going to end up happening is we're going to play behavioral whack-a-mole. You know, like the carnival game where like the mole pops up and we try and hit it with a hammer and it pops up somewhere else and we hit it. So we say, don't do that. And the dog goes, well, I have to do something here. Don't do that. The dog goes, well, I have to do something. And it's just a nightmare. It just creates a really, really like shitty relationship with you and your dog. So we have to make sure we're giving our dog an outlet for that. How do we do that? Play. Play is one of the biggest things that you can do with your dog. It's one of the first things I have my clients start. Competitive, intense play. And I don't mean play where there's toys sitting about all the time. Our dog brings us one, we sort of wave it a little bit, we're on our phone texting, and yeah, our dog gives up, or we chuck a ball here and there. I mean play like dogs play with each other. If you watch dogs play, it's competitive. There's stakes, there's turns, there's winners, there's losers. It's fascinating, and that's why your dog finds it so compelling. So you need to learn how to play with your dog. Let them express that prey drive, like they are chasing the squirrel. Let them lose. Let them get frustrated. Maybe add a little bit of defense in there, like there's stakes. Like if you lose this, oh, we're in trouble. Make that so stimulating for your dog. Build that up. Again, that is not something that happens overnight. For some dogs, maybe if you're lucky. For most dogs, it's not. So build that up. Then I would feel comfortable recommending we can ask our dog to stop the behavior. How do we do this? We use a punishment marker. Now, punishment really loads of connotations, quite nasty word for us. Scientifically, and by definition, it just means to decrease the frequency and likelihood of a behavior repeating itself in the future. Hey, I would like you to do that less. Please don't continue to do that. Again, caveat, your dog has to have been fulfilled before. So we do this outside of that context. So don't have your dog barking at the screen and you try and stop, because your dog's going to be fired up and you're going to need a sledgehammer to try and stop him. It's going to be no good. Your dog's probably just going to get frustrated more than anything. So separate to that, we want to set up a couple of scenarios. Maybe things your dog's naughty with. Tea towel, socks, dipping their head in the bin, counter surfing. You can probably think of some examples. When our dog was to do that, we want to have our lead on our dog. We want to give a marker. Stop, bad, don't, no. Word itself doesn't matter. Then what we can do is we can move our dog away from that. So we stop the rehearsal of that behavior. Then what you can do is you can go and give your dog a timeout away from you. So you let your dog know, hey, when you behave like that, you lose me. I'm not pleased with you right now. It's not good. And you can act a little bit here too. It's not good. I'm not happy with you. Then we can reconcile and make friends and say, hey, we're all good. I love you loads. Just don't like when you do that. And we can reset. Once that looks potent in 3 to 5 different settings, so something falls off from the bench to the floor, you say stop, and your dog goes, yep, no problem at all. Then you know you're ready to use it in a real life setting. And you'll find once you've adequately fulfilled your dog, it'll be very, very easy to say, hey, don't do that. And you'll go, yep, no problem. Because I know I had a great play session earlier on. I've like, that might even get rid of it itself. But if it still continues, then absolutely you can stop it, no problem. So 2-pronged approach there. Give your dog a proper outlet for that drive. Then the undesirable behavior, you can tell them to stop it. Absolutely no problem with that. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay, Aaron, do you recommend collar over a harness? If so, why? It depends, and I'll tell you why. no tool is inherently good or bad. It's always about the application. Food, which we think would be great, can be used wrong. We can make our dogs really fat and ultimately shorten their life and quality of life. So any tool can be used wrong. What we want to have a think about is, what am I looking for this tool to do? So what is the purpose of this? So for example, in play, sometimes to create a little bit of frustration, I'll like my dog to drag towards the toy a little bit, right? So if we've ever seen when our cockapoo wants something and they sort of hit the end of the lead and they just hunker down and just pull towards that, whether it's the lamppost or the other dog, I want that little bit of frustration in there during play. And for that, I like to use either a harness where it's really comfortable to pull into, or a really thick flat collar, which is actually called an agitation collar. You'll see it with the names on it, where it's really comfortable for my dog to pull into. However, if I'm thinking about something for a loose lead walk, well, I don't want my dog to ever pull into that. So I don't want it to be too comfortable for something for my dog to pull into. Now, again, to be super clear, there is no piece of equipment on this planet that will teach your dog not to pull. You do that. Your dog trainer does that. They teach the dog not to pull. This is what this means. So there is no piece of equipment that will do that for you. However, when combined with good teaching and good understanding, I will typically prefer some form of collar over a harness, because it's a little bit easier to direct the dog in that moment. With the harness, if we try to pull our dog back in the harness and the dog comes up on the rear end and they're almost doing backflips in the end of the lead, I don't want that to happen. I want to give really minimal, light lead pressure, and for my dog to feel that and go, yep, I know exactly what that means. So the answer is, it depends on the purpose. I'm assuming for most pet dogs, it's for a nice loose lead walk. In that case, I would say probably the harness isn't your friend for those reasons I outlined. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay. Our cockapoo loves the back garden, but since we are on the end of a row of houses, she can see out to the street and barks at any movement. There are lots of kids in the street, so this can be constant. Yeah. So quite similar to what I said to Louise a few moments ago, right? So we want to make sure, I just hit the camera. Apologies. Again, I'm all new to this. We're all learning here, right? We're all learning. Me as much as you. So with this, again, before we try and stop behavior, we have to make sure we are giving our dog an outlet. I'm going to say something, it's not you specifically, but something we can all think about. It's a little bit crude, but is my dog being a dick, or do they just have a shitty life? And we have to ask ourselves that. Cockapoos, they look like teddy bears. Beautiful, just beautiful. But we have to remember there's two very intelligent sort of working breeds in there, and we have to respect that. It's really, really important. So we have to honestly, it's the first thing I do in all my consultation calls, my one-on-one calls where I help people. As soon as a client onboards with me and we begin our training program, it's one of the first things I say, okay, walk me through a day in the life of your dog. What does your dog's life look like? Are we playing? Are we giving them outlet for that prey drive, for that defensive drive? Are we working them in those high states of arousal? Are we giving our dog time to sniff and explore and chase and be a dog? If we're not doing that, I don't care about the issues. We need to start there. We have to start there. And you'll be so surprised how many times just doing that will have the behavior dissipate. And if it doesn't, if then we still have a habit remaining over, where our dog's like, okay, best of both worlds, I get to do that and I get to do this, then I've absolutely no problem coming and saying, hey, you can't do that. We can't bark out the fence. We can't do that. But that first box has to be ticked. I don't know whether your dog's doing it when you're outside of the house. If they're not, and you're wondering why, with dogs, we'll get something that's called barrier frustration. So when there's something in between the dog and what they're sort of barking and looking at, they'll increase their amount of frustration. And that's why we'll get dogs who fence fight and they bark at each other through the fence. And then you take the fence away and let them see each other and they're best friends. There's nothing. It's because that barrier's in place that will create a lot of frustration. So make sure your dog's fulfilled. Then you can tell your dog, hey, knock that off. You're not allowed to do that. We can punish that away. Absolutely. But that first box has to be ticked. Super, super important. Okay. Thank you. No problem, Louise. Hopefully that was useful. Rachel, my cockapoo just turned 1, goes down flat onto belly whenever another dog approaches towards and springs up once they've passed by. Yeah. So it sounds like your cockapoo is probably a little bit nervous. And what is happening then is they're submitting when another dog's coming over. So they're showing it like, hey, I'm not a threat. Little old me. Just look at me. I'm down here. And then when the dog moves away, your cockapoo sort of gets like a little bit brave and probably wants to initiate like a little bit of a chase sequence, right? So what's really important, and it's easier said than done, is we want to find like the right dog and the right kind of dogs to socialize your cockapoo with, right? We want to make sure they're nice, confident dogs that aren't going to be overbearing, that aren't going to like freak them out. And we just build that tolerance over time. But it's absolutely fine. Like my cockapoo Bonnie is like quite nervous around dogs. Like she's fine when she gets to know them, but initially she's a little bit unsure, especially if it's a super big dog. And again, like for this, I don't see a big problem with that. So I would socialize with the right kind of nice, calm, confident dogs. If there's a situation that you're unsure about, by the way, you have to advocate for your dog, right? So I never want to put my dog in a situation where I'm setting them up to fail, where they feel like they're alone and they have to deal with something on their own. If there's a dog that comes up, and even if they're not aggressive, they're just like hyper social and they're just jumping all around, it's absolutely fine for you to step in and go, hey, that's not okay. And your dog will thank you for that. It's a lot of what I see this so much that people don't do this enough, especially with other people and especially with puppies, right? Or like every client I've ever had, I'm like, right, we're going to take the puppy out and socialize them. As soon as anyone sees that puppy, they go, oh my God, let me see the puppy. And we're up in the puppy's face and we're touching the pup and just immediately putting hands on the dog. And more often than not, the puppy goes, what's this? Right? Because there's just like a lot of spatial pressure coming in, huge giant thing that's coming down top, and they're going, what's this? And we just stand back and we let it happen, right? And we have to advocate for our dog in those moments. It's such a huge deal that our dog sees us step in and go, no, like we can let the dog come to you. Like if the dog wants to say hello or the pup wants to say hello, they will come to you. So just stand there and we'll see if they want to. Forcing your dog into interactions with people or dogs that they're not comfortable with will only ever result in disaster. There is literally nothing good that can come out of that. Worst case scenario, your dog creates an aversion to that and they go, ugh, maybe next time I should react with some defensive aggression to get that thing to go away. And sort of best case scenario, your dog learns like, well, I can overcome it, but I'm on my own. Like mom was useless. So forget about her. I can't rely on her. I need to be here for myself. So I don't see that as inherently a problem. And I'd say, especially if you have a little bit of a more nervous dog, you have to advocate for them. So important. So important that they see that, hey, I am on your team. I'm not going to put you in situations you can't deal with. Hopefully that helped. Okay, David, do you recommend doggy daycare? So, a couple of things we want to have a think about here. We can have a general think about our dog socializing with other dogs. First of all, like I said there, it has to be the right dog. Really important that it's the right dog. It's not a dog that's going to be pushy. It's not going to be a dog that's going to bully our dog and create an aversion. The problem with doggy daycare is we have no idea who the other dogs are. So it's important that we know the dogs that our dog is socializing with. Next thing we want to have a think about, and which is usually the case, is refereeing. So to be super clear, dogs will sort out scenarios themselves, right? They exist just fine in the wild. How they do it, however, we typically don't like, right? And it might well end in either a trip to the vet or perhaps worse. So we don't want that to happen. So when there are dogs that are interacting, we have to be referee and we have to have the ability to step in and say, hey, that's too much right now. So last night I was with one of my clients who has a really big dog and quite a young dog who's quite small. And the young dog was growling and purposely leaving like breeds and names out. The younger dog was growling at the older dog to say, hey, I'm not comfortable. And the older dog was like, yeah, whatever. I'm just like pawing in the face like a cat. right? I was like, yeah, whatever. So in that moment, I have to step in, or I encourage the owner to step in, and we can give our punishment marker to say, hey, that means stop. So we teach that older dog that when another dog growls at you, you stop. You don't continue. So it's an important lesson for that older dog, because again, a dog growling at you is not a good thing. But also for the younger dog, it lets them know that, hey, all you have to do is say stop and we're done. So what we had is the younger dog who would never ever play because it just got too much. All of a sudden they started to play because they go, oh, I know that someone will stand up for me. And the problem with doggy daycares is that refereeing and that reading of what's going on can sometimes not be the best. And sometimes we don't have the most qualified people in charge of those scenarios to be able to assess and see what's going on. So I typically see it do more harm than good. So how should we socialize our dogs? It's a nice caveat to how we do that. First thing you want to have a think about is you'll hear like a lot of people, like a lot of trainers will say, we want neutrality. We want our dogs to be neutral. So if there's a scale +10, I love dogs, they're the best thing in my life. -10, I hate dogs, I want to kill every dog that comes my way. They'll say, okay, we want, boom, 0. In the middle, just whatever. I don't mind. I don't agree with that. Where I want my dog is to be like a +2 or a 3. Reason being, say you were to eat a bad olive. Well, it's a bad example because even a good olive, to some people, they hate olives. So a grape. Grapes are pretty good. Say that we eat one grape. We've only ever ate one grape before and it was off. And we eat it and it's gross. And we go, ugh, I'm not eating grapes again. It's horrible. You would eat that. Versus if you've had 100 grapes in the past and then you just eat one that's off, you're going to think, oh, like grapes are really nice, but that one was horrible. It's the same thing with our dogs. If we never let our dogs interact with other dogs and all of a sudden we have an off-lead dog that runs up and nips them, our dog all of a sudden is at a -2. Whereas what I would rather have is my dog who knows, yeah, other dogs are cool. I like other dogs. And then if they have a bad experience, they go, oh, it was just that one dog. That one dog's a bit of an arsehole, but all the other dogs are great. As a general rule of thumb, your dog can socialize with as many dogs as they want, provided that they would rather engage with you. I'm going to say that again. Your dog can socialize with as many dogs as they want, provided that they would rather engage with you. So if your dog's playing with 15 dogs, and you give your reward marker and say, hey, do you want to do some training with me? Your dog's like, yep, forget about that. Yes, let's do something. Or you pull out a toy and say, hey, do you want to play with me? And your dog goes, yep, see you later, guys. I want to go do this. Have at it. The more, the merrier. But that's where people go wrong. We don't have that relationship with our dogs. We don't have that engagement with our dogs. And then dogs are the world to our dog. What happens then is we set a precedent that every dog you meet is a great time. It's a party. It's a 10 out of 10. Say we do that at doggy daycare. Then we go, right, we're out for our evening walk. We put our dog on the lead and we walk and they see another dog. What are they going to do? Party time. Let's go. Let's play. Let's do our thing. This is the best part of my day. And we are on the lead and we say, no, like you can't do that. I have to walk here. We're moving on. We give our dogs friction and tension on the lead. What does that do? When there's a barrier in place, creates frustration. Our dog gets frustrated. What is next to frustration and emotion? Aggression. Our dog will bark, lunge, growl. All of a sudden, we've got a reactivity issue because we did not build enough engagement with us. So hopefully that makes sense with other dogs. Also, as a little bonus tip, if your dog's engaging with other dogs, we always want to keep things moving. So we want to be on like a group walk where we walk and we move with the dogs. We don't ideally, we don't want to be in like a pen or like a boxing ring where it can be just like a cauldron where things can just start to get very tense very quick. I want to just always move things, always be moving with the dogs. So hopefully that makes sense about why I maybe wouldn't recommend doggy daycare and what potentially you would do instead. Okay, that makes sense. Good, David. Thank you for that. That's good. Something makes sense, right? That's something else. regardless of who's explaining it, really in any context. If something doesn't make sense to you, if someone's advising you about your dog and you're like, that doesn't make sense, it's probably nonsense. You'll hear like fancy words, negative reinforcement, operant conditioning, classical conditioning, Pavlovian conditioning. You go, oh, you must know what they mean. But if you don't understand it, that is the litmus test. My job is not for me to understand what's going on. It's for you as the owner to understand what's going on. So if you're listening to this and you're going, what are you on about? I've failed you. I've done something wrong. And I need then to work on thinking of a better analogy that you're going to understand. Really important, especially in this age where there's just constant advice coming. Every time we're on social media, there's just someone else trying to tell us something else. It should always make sense. Really, really important. It should make sense to you. And that means that different people will make sense to different people, right? That's why there's a menu at restaurants. Some people want steak, some people want pasta. It's not that steak is better than pasta, it's just preference. But that's what I would say. Don't be fooled. You should understand what someone's advising you to do with your dog. If something doesn't make sense, then you're right. It doesn't make sense. Okay. Aaron, when I walk on my puppy, people want to pet her, but she instantly tries to jump on them. How do you recommend stopping this? Many strangers encourage the jumping, while some hate it. Yeah, right. What I would say is, and it's always the case, and when I help my clients do their sort of initial socialization with their puppy, and they see how much I say no to people, like, oh, thanks so much for asking. No, you can't pet my dog. We're okay right now. They go, oh, that doesn't seem right. But what we will have to think about is when your puppy is going to grow into an adult dog, and let me tell you, if 50% of people want to pet your pup now, maybe 5% at a push will want to pet your adult dog. Problem is your dog doesn't know that. Your dog doesn't know that they're not as small and teeny and cute as they once were. Your dog then goes, wait, what's happening? Every time I see someone, I get pets and I get affection. And it's amazing. Why has this changed? What happens then is our dog goes to go to someone, we pull them back on the lead, we create frustration, confusion. Our dog goes, no, that person should be petting me. You're stopping that person petting me. What? Bark, growl, lunge. Frustration-based reactivity 101. Right? Now, the fact that your pup wants to jump up on people means that your dog's really social, so has a really high social drive. This is a good thing. This is not a bad thing. I would far rather a dog be super sociable than not, where we have to bring the dog up. Bring the dog down a little bit, there's no problem at all. What we have to do, especially with a pup, and I don't know how long that you've been on the live for, is we want, same thing as dogs, our dog to interact with as many people as possible, have as many positive experiences as possible, provided that they would rather be with us. Provided that you can give your terminal reward marker to your puppy. So you can say like something that will initiate some form of training, and your dog goes, forget about that person. Yes, Mum, let's do something. What are we doing? Or you can produce a toy and you say, let's play. And your dog's like, yep, let's do it. But if we don't build that motivation early, then we have nothing to offer our dogs. So we become very boring and mundane. And the outside world becomes super exciting. Every new person is someone else I want to see. And then not only are we not interesting, but we're the person stopping your dog from having fun. Not a great place to be for your relationship with your dog. So what do you do moving forward? You build motivation in private. You build your dog's food drive. You let your dog know, hey, I'm fun to work with. You do that in a variety of different settings: kitchen, garden, street outside your house, park. Think of your local area, write down from 1 to 10 difficulty for your dog to engage with you, and work through Each one. Once your dog starts to do really well, move on to a 2 out of 10. Once your dog starts to do really well, move on to a 3 out of 10. Build motivation with your dog. So you come out somewhere and your dog's like, yep, Mum, you are the apple of my eye. Can we please train? Can we please do something? Whilst you're building that might take a little bit of time. It might take 2 days, but it might take a little bit of time. Whilst you're doing that, stop or pause interactions with other people. So don't let that draw get any worse. So if we're here, making sure you can see me, yep, if we're here and people are here at the minute, we don't let people get any higher. We keep them here and we build our dog's motivation so we can creep above. Then what you have is you'll have a puppy that's going to willingly engage with you. And then if after that your dog still chooses now and again, say, I'm going to lunge at this person for them to give me a cuddle, you can absolutely say, hey, we're not allowed to do that. That's fine. It's fine to say you can't do something. But you need to build that motivation first. And then the more the merrier. The more people, the better. But for now, I would put a pause on that. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay. My cockapoo has just turned 4. He jumps up and barks at anyone who comes into my home. He also pees a bit if they pet him. Yeah, so what we have is just way too much arousal and excitement around people coming into the home, right? That's why your dog's having accidents like that. So again, we want to make people coming into the home a little bit less interesting than it currently is. So again, what that's indicative of is your dog is probably a little bit bored. All of a sudden people come in and we go from 1st gear to 5th gear. And that is the best part of their day. So much so that they can't even control their bladder because it's just so exciting. But they go, oh my goodness, this is amazing. So what we need to do is we need to give our dog opportunities to get into that 5th gear, not in that setting. That's what I spoke about before. The importance of fulfillment, of play, giving our dog time off lead, giving our dog time to sniff and explore and be a dog, giving our dog time to be a little bit spicy, be a little bit dangerous with us, of course, in a safe way, and have control over that. That's another thing about play as well. Play is not just about tiring your dog out. You teach life lessons during play. Most owners, if our dog has gears through 1 to 5, most owners never actually see their dog at more than like 2nd or 3rd gear unless their dog's kicking off and doing something they don't want. So when we think about it from your dog's perspective, the only time your dog sees you in that 5th gear is when you're telling them to not do something. And you just become this nagging thing in the background. Like, yeah, shut up, let me go see the people. So play allows us to get up into 5th gear with our dog, where there's intensity, there's rules. Our dog's in the toy, we're putting pressure on our dog, they're going nuts for it. And then all of a sudden, we're biting the toy, and I say, okay, leave it, or drop, or out. And the dog has to spit it. So we add rules in. And I might say sit. The dog has to sit. And then I say get it. And I let the dog get the toy again. So I start adding rules into play. So even when you're up 5th gear, you have to listen to me. So we build up fulfillment. So our dog has a good life. Then when people come into the home, it might well be the case then that we might have to make people a little bit less interesting. Because I think you said, let me see, just turned 4, where your dog's probably quite a big habit of doing this now, where it's probably just even a reflex where people come into the house and your dog just goes into top gear. So it might be at that case then where you do have to maybe use some punishment to say, hey, we don't do that. Because I'm sure some of your guests don't want. Well, they might not mind being peed on, well, jumped on, but they don't want to be peed on, I'm assuming. Each to their own, like. So at that stage, you might have to say, hey, people coming into the house are not that interested. And maybe you just need to chill out over there. And then we'll say hello nice and calmly. But again, if we try and punish and stop behaviors without giving our dog a proper outlet beforehand, you're going to make it worse. Your relationship's going to be worse. Your dog's going to be worse. It's going to come up in another way, worse and stronger. Your dog has to be fulfilled first. Your dog has to know that, hey, I am the party. But there's also rules. The best way I ever heard it explained, excuse me, the best way I ever heard it explained, the relationship we want with our dogs is like a big brother where we'll mess about. Like, they might buy you an underage pint, right, and have a bit of fun. But also, they can tell you to cut the shit. We can say, hey, don't do that. You're going to get yourself in trouble. Don't do that. And we go, okay, no problem. We don't need to be a dictator, a tyrant. You have to, you have to, you have to. No, no, no. It's no good. Your dog's just going to hate you and just have a crap life. But we also can't just be someone who we can never say no. Think about the good relationships in your life. They're people you can be honest with and say, like, I didn't understand that, or I think you were wrong there. Like, you weren't right, or I don't like how you made me feel. Please stop doing that. If you can't say no to someone, you don't have much of a relationship. Really important that applies to our dogs. Hopefully that helped. Okay. No problem there. Everyone's so polite. Okay. What are your favorite things you've taught your dog? So we can think about this in like a couple of different ways. It's like there's the fun things, right? There's like the dog training things. They're really cool and look flashy and are really great for my Instagram. And then there's like the life skills and the real important things that I get my clients to do. There's two. I've already spoke about them. You can probably guess. First one is going to be recall, because it allows my dog to be off lead. There is nothing better than me seeing a dog run off lead. It is my favorite moment of my dog. Like, when I see her run off lead, it's just, there's nothing better to me. And with every client I have ever worked with, it is my favorite moment working with them. Not when their dog doesn't react. Not when they message me and they're like, look, we're in the pub with our dog. There's other dogs walking past and the dog's not going nuts. Like, look how amazing this is. It's not that. It's great, right? It's not that. So when they send me videos of their dog running off lead, my favorite thing. There's nothing more fulfilling for a dog than just letting Mother Nature do its work. It's what our dogs were innately bred for. We don't need to be running to the pet store and buying cheap crap plastic and saying, right, this stimulate and fulfill your dog. Like, here's peanut butter and a Kong. Here's a puzzle toy. Here's a snuffle mat. Jeez. Take your dog to the woods. Train them so they can be off lead. And I promise, like, your life will change and so will theirs. I speak from experience. Personally, and then for all my clients too. Second thing then is how to play. It's not an obedience command. It's not on this lead walk. These things can be useful, right? But they're more for us than they are for the dog. Play. Again, for me to be able to give my dog the opportunity to release their drive, their prey drive, their defensive drive, to get up into fifth gear with me, and then to be able to have control in that moment and ask for an out, and then tell them to get it again. There is nothing better. When I see someone really play with their dog, you just see the dog light up, and you see the person light up, and it becomes the best part of their day. So it's those, they would be the things, favorite things that I've taught my dog to do. It's not the fancy things. It's not the spins. It's not the middles. It's not the fancy heeling. It's that. It's my favorite thing to do with a dog. And to be honest, right, again, I make a living helping people train their dogs and helping people solve the problems with their dogs. But if everyone got their dog off lead, if everyone taught their dog how to play, and if everyone taught their dog a no, a punishment marker, I would be doing something else for a living. There would be no need for me. If we just did those three things, we can make it really, really simple. It'll change your dog's life and yours. So hopefully that answers your question, David. Okay. Perfect. Geez, 50 minutes. I've been waffling on for 50 minutes. Wow, there's 6 people that have been listening to it. Unbelievable. Thank you very much. Really mean it. It means a lot. Really means a lot. There you go. Hopefully you're getting something out of this. I assume you are, or you wouldn't be staying. So, David, hopefully that answered your question. Again, any other questions? Any other things that we're not sure about? Again, it can be weird and wonderful. Anything you use my help with? Please let me know. please let me know. We've covered a load of different topics. But what I'm always focused on is what is the 20% that we can do to get the 80% of the results. And again, we'll see things online where it's like we have to have our dog look at us in the eyes, or touch our hand, or do all these different things. And it's like, is there some percentage value in that? Yeah, maybe. Maybe. But also, you teach your dog to come back when they're called so they can be off lead. You teach your dog how to play and how to have control when you're playing. They're going to have fun with you. You get your dog then around some people and other dogs and let them see the world. And then you have the ability to say, no, like, you're there. You're there. And that's all what I do with my clients. The other stuff, if we start with that, it's just nonsense. It's like starting the gym and going, okay, I want to get into shape. I want to say, like, I want to lose, I want to lose 10 pounds or whatever it is. What are the best tank tops and running shoes I can buy? It's like, will that have an effect? Yeah, maybe. Like, it might make you more confident. It might make you run a little bit more. But we should probably think about, like, your diet and your training, right? Like, that would probably get us maybe 90% of the way there. And that's what you want to have to think about our dogs. And let's be honest, we have limited time in our day. A lot of you will work. A lot of you will have hobbies. A lot of you will have maybe even children. Dogs, whilst they are the apple of our eye, we have to be realistic. We only have a certain amount of time to get things done. So it's the majority of my clients on a weekly basis, maybe 4 to 6 hours of training. Because it's not realistic to ask for anymore. It's just won't happen. We can do it maybe initially and we'll burn out and it'll be done. And we'll just go, oh, that wasn't for me. Really important that we understand that. We have to think, I have now 20 minutes with my dog. Where is my time best spent? Where is the biggest bang for buck that I can spend to change my dog's life for the better? And again, that's why we're all here, right? That's why 6 of you are watching me talk for nearly an hour, because you want to give your dog a better life. It's the only reason we're here. That's it. Okay. Thanks so much. That was great. Perfect. Brilliant. Okay. I'm not going to let this drag on. My plan moving forward is to do more of these, right? Because I'm also going to be filming my first sort of long form YouTube video over the weekend. So keep an eye on the channel. There's going to be tons coming out, tons of Cockapoo reactivity content. It's going to be the place to go for that. So keep an eye out on that. But I want to do more of these because there's no fancy edits. There's no captions. There's no cuts. There's no music. It's just me trying to be honest with you about how to live a better life with your dog. That's it. So I'm going to keep doing these. I'm going to keep showing up. Hopefully you continue to find it useful. If you have found it useful, I'd love for you to send me a message. Let me hear your thoughts about how it went. Good, bad, and ugly. Maybe you would have liked a different format. Maybe you want me to change some things. Let me know. This is for you. This is for you. So hopefully you find that useful. Really appreciate you taking the time to watch this. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Now I'll work out how to end it.